and I just clicked with him right away. And like all those things that Rob said, you could just like, man, this guy's like, he's like doing stuff. And just aside from that, there's something, I've had so many good bosses, like some amazing bosses and some not so amazing bosses that I've worked with. And so there's something inherent about people like, man, he's obviously in this business for a degree, obviously to himself. This isn't all for charity. He wants to make a living. He wants to make a good living. He wants to make money for relative to the quality of the service and the product that he provides, which is awesome. So probably a lot of money. I think Aaron's got some money, maybe, I don't know. And, but anyway, so it's like there's something about Aaron, man, I really like this guy. I like working with him. I take pride in doing a good job for him and of course the Selfman company along the way. And so anyway, he called me or texted me or whatever when he's like, hey man, here's the deal, we're leaving. I'm leaving this, we're starting this new company. It's basically just an idea at this point in time. The only other thing he told me about it was that Dallas was coming on. And I was like, oh, holy shit. And so the cool thing is about Aaron, like literally he told me that. And at that point in time, still I don't think a whole lot of people knew who I was. And I was like, first, like I'm coming, like yes, I'm on board, whatever it is. I was like, and second, I was like, can you connect me with Dallas? I would like to talk with him. I think I could help his training. Aaron's like, all right, I guess, we'll see what happens. And so anyway, long story short, Aaron's awesome, man. He's that guy that's just like moving forward, doing things the right way. Anyone that's been around Redcon, around his gym, around the warehouse, around the office, it's like this nice balance of someone that's obviously a leader that is leading in the front of the pack. He's not a dick. He's not a dictator. He just like does a good job. Where I think 99% of like normal people like actually have pride. They go to work and work for Aaron, work with Aaron. So anywhere, wherever Aaron's at, I'm always going to be hanging out and on board with that, which is why I'm here right now. And that's that. We'll talk later.
Well, thank you. Thank both you guys.
Let's just go back and forth. We'll just give compliments to each other the whole time we're here.
Is it Joe's turn again now?
See you later.
So the point of this, other than that, which is wonderful, was that to talk to you guys about building business in general. It doesn't have to be fitness business, just business in general. I'm a huge fan of business. So yeah, we're in I guess I'm in the gym business now, but I'm in the supplement business. But I love business, and both of these guys have their own businesses that are both multiple businesses that are very successful. So I thought that would be something that's good. It doesn't have to be questions and answers specifically about business, like making money or generating revenue. It could be questions surrounding business or anything about it. Because obviously business. So I have 3 little boys and I have a wife. And there's a big thing where, it's very easy to be extremely focused on the business part and lose sight of other things that are very important. So there's all types of stuff like that. I'm giving you one example, but there's a lot of types of things that go along with success in business, that go along with driving demand, go along with the marketing stuff that we do and building great products. So it can be anything related to any of those things. And I wanted to do a question and answer thing, and I have some topics that I can pop up that I got in my head. I've done them ready in case we don't have any questions, but I have a feeling we have enough people here. And it can be anything, really. Honestly, we're open to, I think you're open to anything, right?
Yes.
And you?
Yes.
So it could be anything you want, even unrelated to business. I just felt like you had 3 guys up here in the fitness world who have created success in business. And also, though, maybe more importantly, is we all have a wide variety of interests. So if there's something else, I'd love to get you guys to ask whatever. And with a show of hands, anybody want to be the first one? I know the first is always the hardest one. Oh, Bobby over here.
What's something that was hard in your business that you thought was going to end up being bad that actually turned out to be really good?
So Bobby asked, what happened in business? What's one thing you can think of that happened in business that seemed really bad but turned really good? And obviously, it's one that I can take that one and run with that. So we mentioned the old business. So my old business, I was there for 5 years, and I poured my heart and soul into this thing. I was by far and away the one that was most invested in the business. My business partner, we were best friends for many, many years, and we started the business together. I basically brought him in, and he became a 50-50 partner based on the fact that we were friends, that I loved him as a friend. And over the period of those 5 years, we drifted away significantly. And one day, I went into the office thinking that it was a normal day, basically, and he was there with an investor, a minority investor was part of it, and basically said, "You're fired, get the fuck out," without exaggeration. And my first response was to freak out, whatever, and honestly was to throw my monitor at him. But I'm glad I didn't do any of that, and I left. This is the very, very short story. Called my lawyer said, "They can't vote you out, it doesn't work like that, you can't be fired." And I had all the emotions you can imagine losing something, because I knew there was no real coming back from this. Even if we were able to work it out, we ended up working it out where I was compensated and I was able to move on with my life in a really productive manner. And he even told me, the partner said, now you're able to not work anymore. You can just relax on the beach and hang out with your family, which he knew was insulting, right? It was meant to be insulting because I don't have that inside me to do that. So I was like, okay. And I was sad. I was really sad and depressed for a day. So a whole day, had probably too many drinks. And my wife felt the same way as me. It felt like, the only thing I can compare it to, and thank God, I've never had this happen, but it's like losing a child. It was like everything I put into this, 5 years old, and I put so much time and effort into doing this and growing it, blood, sweat, and tears, right? And all of a sudden, in an instant, it wasn't there. It was gone. It was gone. And so it took me a day to be sad, and the next day I woke up and I was like, fuck that. Watch what I do, right? And I came up with a plan, and we started working on Redcon that next day, one full day after that happened. And within 6 months, Redcon was up and going. 4 months in, we were selling products, pre-selling products. I was able to get from our manufacturer, gave me a $500,000 credit line, where he said, you have 60 days to pay back this credit line. I was able to, with no investment in terms of products, within 60 days, when I owed him money, I had sold all enough products to pay him back. And so within 60 days, the company was in the black. And within 1 month, we are doing more in sales than the past company was doing. And now, we do many times more than they've done their best year ever. So it just goes to show you, right? Thank you. That terrible moment where it was like, I felt like, the best way to put it is I felt like I lost a child, where I felt like, I'm not somebody who gets depressed and sad very much, but I felt very depressed and very sad and didn't know what to do and where's my direction in life? What was my purpose was this, and now all of a sudden it's gone, right? But the next day, I said, I'm not gonna allow myself to feel like that. I'm not gonna be a victim of this asshole and these morons, right? I'm gonna be the leader of my own story. I'm not letting somebody push me in any direction. And I use that as fuel to push me in a positive direction. And if it wasn't for that happening, that terrible day when I was so upset and depressed and drank too much, if it wasn't for that happening, we wouldn't be sitting here now. I wouldn't have known you. I wouldn't know anybody in here. We wouldn't have this gym and all of the great things, all the amazing things. We have a team at Redcon of almost 200 people. I wouldn't be able to make a difference on their lives. I wouldn't have been able to make a difference in the world. All the positive things that I've been able to do, and me and my wife and the team have been able to do, they wouldn't have happened. So I'm very thankful for that. And there's many examples in my life, I'm sure in your guys' life too. And ultimately, every bad thing that happens is an opportunity. You just may not realize it at the time. Too many people, they always say that saying, everybody's heard is, one door closes, another door opens. Too many people go through that door and stare back longingly at the door that was closed, instead of looking for the door that's open right in front of them. And so if you have an opportunity, I look at it as an opportunity. If something bad happens, you should stop and say, good, because that means something bigger and better is around the corner. And if you keep your eyes open, you'll find it. That was really good. Thank you, Rob. What did you have bad happen that ended up being good? You got something, come on.
After your story? I don't know if it translates probably, but I witnessed this whole thing, and
you were a part, you were like...
Yeah, I was there, I was just like, holy shit, look at this all happen. Like, if you need help, I don't know what I can do. But yeah, it was seeing, and that's consistent across the board, is seeing great people respond to things. For us in the come up, the adversity or whatever it was that sort of like tanking us, it always seemed to define us. I think the easiest person is to use is Dana, because she's sitting right there. But like all of the things that seemed like were holding her back, I've always looked at all those roadblocks as like leveraging them, you know what I mean? So like, it's gonna be odd to say, but like leveraging the fact that Dana doesn't have tits. It's a weird thing to leverage, right? But coming up, you looked at that as like, oh, this is the worst. Like everyone has them, they're telling me I need them, and it's like, no, fuck that. Like, let's ride with this. I remember supplement companies telling your hair wasn't long enough. You were too jacked, you had too many abs. Like, you weren't acting sexy enough. And it was like, these were all the things holding us back. With Flag or Fail, all the things holding us back, the limited quantities, the site crashing, everything. But everything that's ever like held us back, when you do figure out how to get around that, it becomes like your superpower, right? And once you, I think, figure out you can get around little things like that, it's like you gain all these little superpowers. So now when we hit roadblocks, it's like almost the most exciting thing ever. And it's like, oh, we must be doing something really big. And if we solve this problem and get on the other side of it, we got another superpower. And it's like gonna define us. We're gonna be able to tell the story about how we overcame it or whatever it is. So it's like, it's watching people like Aaron hit big roadblocks where, I mean, the dude has a company and then all of a sudden, boom, company's gone. Taking one day off and sort of being sad, and then the next day just waking up and being like, no, watch this. And that's the coolest thing. And every single person I know that's ever been successful, that's exactly how they hit stuff like that. And it's cool to watch. So not one story in particular, I guess her, but you know.
It's all about Dana's boobs.
That's what this is all about.
Thanks, Dana.
What you got, Joe?
I don't have boobs either, and here I am. I don't know. I don't like. So I guess the only thing I don't know if I'd say roadblocks or whatever. Like the first thing is I've honestly like the joke is I'll get people that like tell me stuff all the time like you're really smart and you know a lot of stuff, and I'm like, man, like it actually makes me feel better when I hear people like Rob say like I don't know what I'm doing. And because I always talk about like Rob and Aaron, I was like, these guys, like they know what they're doing. Like at least they do know what they're doing with business. Because
Aaron does.
Aaron does. Yeah, Aaron definitely knows what he's doing with business. I have no idea what I'm doing with anything business related whatsoever. But I'm like that super, like fell in love with working out, like 15 years old. Like I could fill a book with like the crazy stereotypical stupid meathead stuff that like 15, 16, 17, like the stupidest, funniest stuff, like carrying around a gallon jug of BCAAs that was like a lot of money for me to spend because I needed those. Like I have too many stories. But anyway, like I remember telling my wife, I've known my wife since I was 20 at some point in time, that like my dream growing up was like to train professional bodybuilders. And I remember like, obviously she's nice and likes me, so she didn't say anything. And she was like, oh, like, okay. And I didn't even know what the hell that meant. I was like, well, the only person that does that is like Charles Glass. I don't know how he got that gig. And, but I'm like, that's what I want to do. And so anyway, long before social media, long before anything else, I actually just got offered. I was first in corporate wellness because I was like, well, it has the word corporate in it, and I think that's something like a grown-up needs to do. And I felt like I needed a grown-up job. And then I found out I hated that. I got into personal training, and I love that, and I got into like 100%. And I've just had a whole bunch of different times where I got like in really good positions, and then a company I was working for got sold and got like the rug pulled out from under me. And then I was in a really good position and had an opportunity that I took. And then I ran out of money and was financially in a horrible spot. But long story short, I've always put 100% into training. I put a ton of hours in. I mean, I tell everybody before I ever had social media, I was putting in 78 hours a week. I mean, I was literally working, 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the jobs that I was at, like training people, sleeping in my car. And basically every single place that I've been, I always had some sort of thing where it's like the door open, the opportunity, same thing that these guys are saying. And so I don't know, it's a cliche thing, but if you like something, just pursue it, because someone wanting to train professional bodybuilders when they're 20 years old is like the stupidest job ever. But I train professional bodybuilders a lot now, and I kind of make a living doing that. And so anyway, I don't know if that's as cool as their story, but here I am.
I think what it comes down to is perception, right? You have the option to choose how you perceive it and it not seem like there's an option. If you take yourself back from whatever emotion you're feeling and you think about how you're perceiving an event, if you perceive an event as a disaster and the worst thing that ever happened, it will be the worst thing that ever happened. If you perceive it as an opportunity for something bigger and better, or the door is open, right, or whatever, then that is how it will be. And ultimately, whether it's easy for you to do or not, it's just a matter of taking a moment, figuring out, and then telling yourself how you're going to perceive it. And even if it might not be easy at first, if you do it enough, it becomes second nature. Just like the first time you went into the gym, it sucked to go to the gym, it sucked to do cardio, whatever. But if you're doing it, after a while, it becomes second nature, and then it's habit. And so for me, that's kind of where it's gone. Next question, right here.
So you're all married, family guys, and you're a successful business.
Yeah.
What's been the number one key factor for successful company?
Yeah, so the question was, since we're all family men, married with kids, or not with kids, but this one, no kids, married for many years, and how do you manage business, success, and then the fact that you have a family and requires balance, right? Basically, you want to go first, Joe?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm horrible at that. It's probably my worst thing. I have an issue where, like, because prior to having kids, I literally would just be like, I'm just going to spend all day, every day at the gym because I like this. I make more money when I do that. Like, I'm passionate about it. And then honestly, when my son, the whole first year that my oldest son was alive, I was still probably working like 60 hours a week, and I was like, man, this is horrible. So it's tough. I think the biggest thing it comes down to is just very, very good scheduling. And for me, it's really about, I need to work on like flipping the switch. As far as like, okay, if I schedule this time, if I'm doing work and I'm working, I'm going to work 100%, because I have a problem when I'm at work. I feel guilty that I should be spending more time with my kids. And then when I'm with my kids, sometimes I'm like thinking about work. And so honestly, I really, really have to take good periods of time to say, all right, this is all in on this and all in on that. And the biggest thing for me too, that helps me with that as well with work, is I honestly 100% work for my kids now. I mean, I love what I do. I'm lucky that I'm like super passionate about it, but I am 100% doing everything for them. And that helps me a lot at work as well too, where I'm not aimlessly pursuing money or things or whatever it is. Like I'm with that kind of stuff, I'm very content, so it's like, that's, for me, that's a big thing, I guess. It's like clearly defining what you're doing those things for, especially work, because I think it's really, really easy to get caught up on like, well, I watch Instagram and I'm supposed to be working towards a private jet, and I'm supposed to be working, not that there's anything wrong with a private jet, but I'm supposed to be working towards all these things, which is cool if those are important to you, but if you don't care about those things, then you're just gonna end up working 8 billion hours for no reason, and then the next thing you wake up, your kids are grown, and you're like, oh shit, like that was my nightmare. Like my first year my son was alive, I was like, I did not spend as much time with him as I would've wanted. So like my nightmare, if I really sit and think, how am I gonna perceive my actions 10 years from now, 20 years from now, which I think is probably the most important thing, is like, what will I look back on as actually important or not important? And obviously not an excuse to be lazy. I don't want my kids to be like, we don't have food on the table. Like, well, Dad has spent a lot of time with you. Like, well, thanks, Dad. We don't have fucking shoes. So I think all that's just kind of about finding balance. And the best advice I give for people that don't have kids yet is you better because in all honesty, work your ass off before you have kids. Like that's laying the foundation, in my opinion. Because a lot of people, it's like they have kids and they're just kind of not that that's bad to start something then, but a lot of the stuff I did, I worked so much and I put so much time and effort into my education before having kids. I can't right now, if I wanted to, go back and start the education of training people 60, 70 hours a week, going to seminars every single weekend. So that advice could be horrible if you already have kids, sorry. But that is something to think about. I mean, don't waste your time. I remember complaining about not having enough time the first time I got a full-time job, working 40 hours a week and not having kids or anything. I just come home, I'm like, man, I don't have time to do anything anymore. Working 40 hours a week, which now seems like a joke because anyway, so that's how I do it.
So for me, balance is funny. Rob had a shirt that had a balance with a cross on X on it, no balance. There may be a song like that, no balance, the other song. So for me, I'm the type of person who would have absolutely no balance. I'm a very obsessive compulsive person that is driven to continue to push and succeed, and I get enjoyment out of the journey of doing it. And so for me, I have really genetically or whatever, internally I have really very little balance. My balance is forced on me by having 3 little boys and having a wife. And so a wife that says, where are you? Come home, it goes in varying stages, but the first is coming home soon, and then it's where are you? And you need to be here. And so by the time it gets to before the last stage is, do you love your kids? And that's the final stage.
Don't bother coming home.
I don't get to, no, I don't go that far. But I go, usually I'll get first or second before I very rare to get to do you love your kids. But it's definitely within me to be the obsessive, nonstop, always driving, and not thinking about anything else. And so I've been very, very lucky, very fortunate to have a wife and that I've been forced balance on. And so for me, I stay at home till the kids leave for school, and I come home at 7 p.m. to make sure I have time to put them to bed. And then I don't work. I was working on Saturdays, but I stopped because the kids were getting older, and I thought that I should have more time with my wife. Daryl thought I should do it too. And so I don't work on Saturdays anymore, and then Sunday is family day. So on Sunday, it's strictly the kids and family and nothing else. And I try not to have any business calls or any other stuff going on. And so I have a schedule. Like Joe was saying, I have a schedule of when I'm with them and when I'm not with them, what we do and what's expected of me. And it's a great thing, because without that, I know personally I would have a very, very difficult time. I would sleep at the office. I would be somebody who's really, really obsessively focused on whatever it was that I was doing. So for me, balance doesn't come easy at all, but I'm glad to have somebody push me into it. And this is the guy that makes the no balance shirt.
All right, I don't have kids, whatever. But something that I realized early on is I want to spend more time with my wife. I want to spend more time with my brother. I want to spend more time with Austin, and I want to have the freedom to do whatever I want. So a lot of my decisions, like on the come up, if it did put me out of line with those things, I just didn't do them. You know what I mean? So like, I probably could be a lot wealthier or have bigger things going on. But a lot of times, and we still weigh this out now, we get business calls all the time. It's like, okay, cool. So if that's going to take me away from Dana, my brother, my family more, and take less control over my life, I'm not interested. So I just try to tailor everything to what I actually want in life. Like I want to travel with her, I want to work with my brother, I want to problem solve with my brother, I want to take care of my family. So that's why, like, I brought my whole family into the business, and even steering that moving forward, it's like I make decisions that I think are good for Austin because I consider him family, you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to build the life that I want and realize that my work is never going to be separate from life. So I might as well make them all in the same. And you know, even if that wasn't like lived through Instagram or anything like that, I would still find a way to make sure that our lives, we'd be together all day, you know, because that's what I want. So, and if we have kids, when we have kids, however we want to word that, I'm going to do the same thing.
I think we should work it out right now in front of everyone. we already talked about Dana's boobs. Let's just go all in uncomfortable.
All right, dim the lights, or turn the lights off, whatever. Mic me. Thank you. Yeah, but that's what it's been, and you know, when I have kids, everything's gonna sort of change and revolve around that. You know what I mean? Like, if I have kids, like, will I want to wait to see them at 7 o'clock at night, or you know, like, no, I'm gonna restructure everything and make the businesses work so that, I don't know, maybe the kids are with me all day. Like, I don't, you know, but I know I'll make it work because I'm not going to be a billionaire, I don't think. Maybe by accident, but like, that's not my overall goal. Like, when people ask me my overall goal, it's like, I want to have a really, really rad life. Like, I want to have like the dopest life. So when I have kids, I want to lead by example too. I want to show them that like, this is what a dope life is. This is how you work. This is how you fail, all of those things. So mine's a little bit different of an answer, but that's what it is.
That's the one good thing I'll say that Rob said too, because I think about, I mean, I was